Have you ever felt like your world was shifting, but you couldn't explain why? Like you were being pulled into something bigger, more meaningful, yet more uncertain? If you're a woman on the edge of a new chapter in your financial life, it may not just be coincidence. It may be divine preparation. When Allah is guiding a woman toward her money journey, He doesn't just hand her wealth. He molds her, teaches her, and transforms her from the inside out. This path is not just about earning. It's about becoming. You'll begin to notice signs, quiet, powerful signs, that you're being prepared for more than just material success. In this video, we'll explore the 5 clear signs that Allah is setting you up not just to receive wealth, but to carry it with purpose, wisdom, and faith. Let's begin this journey together. Sign 1. He removes her from comfort zones. When Allah begins preparing a woman for her financial journey, one of the first signs is the unsettling feeling of being pushed out of what once felt familiar and safe. This might look like losing a job, facing business setbacks, or realizing that old ways of managing money no longer work. It can feel frustrating, even confusing, but it's not punishment. It's divine redirection. In this stage, Allah is quietly closing doors that kept her stagnant. That steady income she once relied on might dry up, but only to push her toward exploring her own gifts, creativity, or leadership. Comfort is replaced by uncertainty, and yet within that discomfort lies the soil for deep personal and spiritual growth. She starts to question her patterns, her beliefs about money, and even the purpose of her work. Opportunities may appear that challenge her to take risks, learn new skills, or step into spaces she once felt unqualified for. These shifts are not meant to humiliate or harm her, but to awaken parts of her potential she didn't even know existed. As her external world begins to change, so does her internal mindset. She becomes more alert, more intentional, and more open to what Allah is unfolding. Being removed from comfort doesn't mean being abandoned. It means being guided. It's Allah saying, "There's more for you, but first, let go." And as she learns to release her attachment to ease, she steps into a new chapter marked by growth, resilience, and trust in divine wisdom. Sign 2. He teaches discipline. As a woman steps into the financial journey Allah is shaping for her, she begins to notice a growing call for structure, focus, and responsibility. Discipline becomes a quiet but constant theme, not forced, but gently instilled through life's new rhythm. She may start feeling uneasy about careless spending or neglecting her budget. What she once did casually now weighs differently on her heart. Allah begins teaching her that money is not just a tool, but a trust. She becomes more intentional with how she handles every dirham or dollar, learning that success isn't in having more, but in managing well what she already has. She may start tracking expenses, avoiding impulsive purchases, and prioritizing long-term value over short-term satisfaction. These aren't just habits, they're forms of worship. This discipline shows up in unexpected areas too. She may be guided to wake up earlier, use her time more wisely, or create structure in her day that supports productivity and financial goals. There's a new level of self-control that emerges, not just in spending, but in saying no to distractions and yes to responsibilities. She learns the value of patience, delayed gratification, and planning ahead, trusting that barakah lies in doing things with care and intention. Even spiritually, she starts to align her financial behavior with her faith. She gives with sincerity, saves without greed, and spends with gratitude. Allah is not just training her to make money, but to respect it, to see it as a means, not an end. Discipline becomes the bridge between her current self and the woman she's meant to become. It's Allah's way of molding her character, strengthening her will, and preparing her to carry wealth with wisdom. Sign 3. People start to shift. When Allah begins preparing a woman for her money journey, a noticeable shift happens in her relationships. People around her begin to change, not always dramatically, but in subtle, significant ways. Some friendships may grow distant, support systems may weaken, and familiar voices that once encouraged her might now question her choices. This can feel lonely or even hurtful, but it is deeply intentional. Allah, in His wisdom, begins to remove those who no longer serve the next phase of her growth. Not because they are bad people, but because their presence might limit her mindset or distract her from the path ahead. These changes make space for new relationships, people who challenge her to grow, who speak from wisdom rather than fear, and who align with her deeper values and evolving goals. Often, He introduces mentors, advisors, or even strangers who leave a profound impact. A podcast, a book recommendation, or a short conversation may plant seeds that shift her perspective entirely. These are not coincidences. They are part of Allah's orchestration to realign her with people who reflect the kind of strength, discipline, and faith she is being called to embody. During this time, she may also feel the need to set new boundaries. She becomes more protective of her time, her energy, and her conversations. Small talk and superficial approval no longer satisfy her. She seeks meaning, purpose, and authenticity. While the loss of familiar faces may feel uncomfortable, it is never without gain. The shifting of people is a sign that Allah is clearing her path, not to isolate her, but to surround her with the right support, at the right time, for the right purpose. Every soul removed or added carries a lesson meant to shape her journey with precision. Sign 4. Her dua changes. As a woman grows into the financial path Allah has destined for her, one of the most profound shifts occurs in her dua. Her supplications begin to reflect deeper awareness, maturity, and trust in her Creator. She no longer prays simply for more money or quick success. Instead, her heart begins to seek barakah, blessing, sustainability, and peace in whatever she earns or spends. Her prayers evolve from short-term desires to long-term vision. She starts asking for clarity, wisdom, and the ability to make decisions that please Allah. She seeks strength to handle responsibility, patience to wait for what is right, and humility to stay grounded when wealth increases. These are the du'as of someone being spiritually trained for something greater than just material gain. This transformation in her du'a also reflects her growing awareness that money alone isn't the goal. It's a means to fulfill purpose, uplift others, and draw nearer to her Lord. She begins to ask not only for personal provision, but also for the ability to give generously, support her family with dignity, and invest in causes that matter in the hereafter. Her vision expands beyond herself. Moreover, she prays with more consistency and emotional presence. Dua is no longer an occasional request. It becomes a conversation, a daily surrender, a quiet space where she brings her financial fears, plans, and gratitude. She stops begging out of desperation and starts asking with yaqeen, certainty, that Allah hears and will respond in the best way. This change in her supplication is not accidental. It's a sign that Allah is softening her heart, aligning her priorities, and preparing her to handle wealth with a soul that remains connected, content, and committed to divine guidance. Sign 5. Her tests increase. When Allah is preparing a woman for her financial journey, one of the clearest signs is an increase in tests. These trials often come unexpectedly. Delays in income, failed ventures, rising expenses, or emotional stress linked to money. It may seem as though everything is going wrong at once, but in reality, Allah is strengthening her through every challenge. These tests are not meant to punish her. They are carefully designed to refine her character, stretch her patience, and deepen her reliance on Allah. In moments of uncertainty, she learns to manage fear without panicking, to act wisely under pressure, and to maintain her dignity even when things feel out of control. Her resilience is forged not in ease, but in adversity. Often, these trials bring hidden wisdom. They reveal weaknesses in her planning, gaps in her habits, or dependencies she didn't know she had. Allah uses these difficulties to break attachments, whether to people, routines, or even her own sense of control. Through hardship, she begins to release the illusion of self-sufficiency and turns more sincerely toward tawakkul, trusting Allah fully with outcomes. Emotionally, she may feel moments of discouragement, but in those lows, she also discovers her capacity to rise stronger, to seek knowledge, to pray with sincerity, and to make decisions with both faith and clarity. The tests train her not just to survive challenges, but to become a woman who leads herself through them with grace. These tests are temporary, but the strength, wisdom, and spiritual grounding she gains from them are lasting. When Allah increases the tests, He is also increasing the reward and preparing her for the greater responsibilities that come with financial growth. When Allah prepares you, it's never random, it's intentional, loving, and full of wisdom. If you're seeing these signs, trust that your journey is unfolding exactly as it should. If this video brought you clarity or comfort, please like, share, and subscribe to Purpose Deen for more faith-centered guidance. Before you go, comment this beautiful prayer below. Ya Allah, prepare me for the wealth that brings me closer to you. Let that be your intention and your affirmation. Until next time, stay purposeful, stay patient, and stay connected to your Deen.